home or abroad. It's 4 o'clock on August 8th, 2024, and this is the appointed time and place for the Bismarck Renaissance Zone Authority's monthly meeting. And I chair the meeting, and I see that we have a quorum present, so we will proceed with the first item of business being considering approval of the minutes of the July 11th meeting. Any questions, comments, changes, corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
And there's no further discussion. We'll just say, if we're in favor, we'll all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. We don't do a roll call on the minutes. Then we'll move on to the regular agenda, which mercifully is only one item today. And that is the Jomo House, the update, which Isaac is going to kind of give us a little bit of background on. Yes. Please, Isaac.
Sure. So Chair Christensen and authority members, Truong Tide Group LLC requesting downtown design review approval at 515 East Main Avenue in connection to their previously approved Rehabilitation Renaissance Zone project. Just going to very briefly. Let's get that. There we go. That's a little better. So this is in connection to the previously approved Rehabilitation Renaissance Zone project. That project was approved by this board at your May 9th meeting, and it has gone on to receive the necessary approvals from the Bismarck Board of City Commissioners, as well as the State Department of Commerce Division of Community Services. So just as a reminder, as you see some of these existing exterior images, this being a downtown design review project, we're just focusing on the exterior of the building. Don't need to look again at anything going on inside of the building. And this is for the proposed project that would be the rehabilitation of the existing commercial space for a new coffee shop restaurant use. And the exterior changes were brought to our attention with this rendering that was submitted along with the building permit. But with some further clarification, the changes can be summarized as follows. The replacement of the storefront assemblage with functionally similar aluminum and glass. You can see on the right side of the image on the screen here that the schematic of what the storefront portion below that metal awning will look like. The metal portions would be, of course, the thinner parts, wider parts are glass, transparent glass. And then the main difference there being that the metal itself would be a more natural aluminum color compared to what is existing there previously, which was more of a dark, just a darker color. And then you also have the removal of one door in the middle, the two doors shown on the right, on the left and right side of the storefront space. Those would stay in place. And then the metal awning portion above there with the signage on it, that would be proposed to be painted white as shown on that rendering. And the western wall of the structure would also be painted white to match that upper awning portion. And any, just as a reminder, any signage such as what is shown here, or even if that were to change, that is reviewed administratively by planning and building inspection staff when a sign permit is applied for. So you can see that, but you don't necessarily have to make decisions based firmly on the design of the sign itself, just for your awareness. As a result of the findings contained in the staff reports that were submitted to the authority, the City of Bismarck staff find that the proposed designs would not adversely impact public health, safety, and general welfare, and that they are generally consistent with downtown design guidelines, the comprehensive plan, and Bismarck Code of Ordinances and relevant state law. So staff recommends approval of the proposed design for 515 East Main Avenue with the standard condition that any substantive revisions to the approved design must be reconsidered by the Downtown Design Review Committee prior to implementation. Does the authority have any questions for me at this time?
We have representatives of the owner here, but before we get to them, do we have questions of Isaac? Anybody? Joe, anything at this point?
I don't think of Isaac, no.
Okay, thanks, Isaac.
Thank you.
Are the representatives of the owner here, the contractor and or owner?
Yes, both.
Both? Would you stand to answer any questions that we might have?
Sure, at the podium.
Yep, that'd be great. Just come up and say your name so we know for the record. We'd like to know who we're torturing.
Yes. My name is Jake O'Connell. I'm resident here in Bismarck, and I operate as 701 Construction.
Okay. Questions of Mr. O'Connell? Anybody? Go ahead. Eric?
Yeah, so we reviewed this and see no reason why this shouldn't
be approved in terms of how it's meeting the requirements for the downtown design standards, but we did want to make sure, just so everyone's on the same page, when you look at that rendering and the proposed storefront elevation that you have on the following page, we wanted to make sure we were understanding sort of what's actually being constructed versus what the rendering is showing.
Correct.
The rendering showing some arched openings, almost like some wood look paneling and doors, and I presume there's no wood. It doesn't look like the arched openings are part of that, but just wanted to maybe, if you could point out the things on the rendering that differ from what's actually being constructed, I think that would be helpful.
The rendering, I think, in general is accurate as far as how the color scheme is going to go, but the design, yes, you're accurate. It's going to be all rectangles or squares. There's going to be transom above the doors. There isn't going to be any kind of cut-in facade or, you could say, artificial arches. So it will be more of what you see now with just a different color. So the existing structure is going to be maintained as far as kind of form and fit. It's just going to change from what is a bronze color right now to an natural aluminum color. So the rendering is misleading from the detail that's shown for that particular area, but it's accurate we're trying to maintain the brick aesthetic as well as the texture around the window on each side of it, and then underneath it on a small knee wall, which will also be painted white. And then the sign will be painted white also, the awning.
Okay, and then we had a question on the material of the storefront itself. I think in the submittal it said natural aluminum.
If I may, I have a piece of it here that.
Okay, great.
Basically, we're working with Rust on CH glass, and he recommended we go with natural aluminum because it'll look white from a distance, but at the same time, it's much easier to maintain. And it doesn't have a coating that could age with time.
But it's anodized, it appears. Anodized?
He said it was just a natural extruded finish. Basically says, as it goes on, you can use steel wool to basically maintain the appearance if there's any discoloration.
Okay.
Is there a frame around the upper overhang, the white part? The rendering shows a dark frame around
The
it.
mansard.
The rendering does show a frame, but there's no desire to put a frame around it.
Okay.
I think that was more of the artistic license of the individual came up with the rendering than what reality is going to allow for.
So, other questions at this point? Joe, anything from Digital Land?
Just like pattern in the windows, this is all just clear at this point, right?
Yes, sir. It'll be clear glass.
And then the doorways, is this an ADA compliant, or what kind of width are we at on the doorways? I haven't done the math on there.
3 feet leads into a vestibule, which is going to be approximately 7 feet, leading to another door that's basically a 3.068 door, so 3 feet wide, and your standard 6 foot 8 inches high.
And then the doors themselves aren't like a pull handle like we see in the rendering; they're just a flat push pull.
Correct. Both the doors for the inside vestibule and the entrance to the vestibule will push out, which is ADA requirement.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Anyone else? Other questions? As Mr. O'Connell said, it looks like the artist took quite a bit of liberty because what we're being presented is not at all what's going to be built there. This is basically a brushed aluminum finish versus the brown that is shown in the drawing. There's no frame around the mansard. The windows aren't arched. The doors, you say, will be kind of a wood tone or not? Or will they just be?
No, they'll be natural aluminum also.
They'll be like a Conair or glass door, frame
Yes,
door.
it's
without
exactly
any-
what it'll be.
No
It's a
raised paneling?
Conair. Nope, just glass in it. And I apologize, it's my responsibility to make sure it's accurate, but that rendering was done months ago
Okay.
before we started getting the actual design versus reality. And as we went on, we realized there's just some things that we weren't going to be able to do financially for the cost of the project.
I'm going to say, if you're going to undertake the building next door, which you show with a whole new exterior and window screens,
We'd like
Pacific
to.
Square Plaza, they'll like that too, but, okay. Other questions?
And also, so is the west wall gonna get painted white?
Yes, we're trying to figure out what's the best way to preserve the integrity of the wall. Right now, we don't know the exact history of the building, but what you have is the outside of that wall used to be the inside of the building. And so it was built for being on the inside of a building and protected from the weather and the elements. And so for the last 60 years, it's been on the outside, maybe even longer, we don't know. And so there's been significant degradation in the pointing with the bricks, and some of the bricks that were used were not meant for exterior use. So there's quite a few things that we have to do to preserve the integrity of the building. We're just not sure if it's going to be stucco or if it's going to be ephes or if we're going to shotcrete it or if we're going to do anything that can be applied that would be somewhat of a plastic resin mix. But first, the wall has to be, you could say, reinforced structurally to not fall apart any more than it has. And then we will basically come back probably with what we think we're going to do aesthetically, but it will be white when we're done.
Okay. So are they gonna have to come back for another?
Well, I heard him say they'll come back once they determine what
Okay.
the actual finish is gonna be, correct? So that'd be our wishes.
Yep. Yeah, we don't know if we're going to do stucco or if it's going to be a clean ephes look, or we're going to go with trying to maintain the character of it and use a clear coating. We've been in touch with Oxtenco regarding some of the products that are out there, and we're just, again, not at that point where that's a primary focus because we know what we're going to end up with. It's going to be a white wall, and we're trying to maintain the character.
Other questions? What are your wishes?
Mr. Chair, I just thought of,
Cool.
is that back side of the building, that's all, we're talking, whatever you do to the, would be the west side
Correct.
or the east side of the building, it's all getting the same, right?
Yeah, what about the south side?
The
track?
south side, right now, we're trying to mitigate some water egress or ingress. And so I don't think we're going to change the appearance of the back of the building, but we may coat it again with, Sherwin-Williams has some different weatherproof coatings that might go on there, but there isn't going to be any wild departure from the back of the building.
Will the color match the west wall?
Yes, it will.
Okay. Joe, anything else?
No, thank you.
Yep. What are your wishes?
I say we approve it as stated by the gentleman in front of us with the caveat that he comes back and about the west wall, the final wall.
Second.
They're moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Joe, anything further out where you are? Okay. All right. Hearing no discussion, call the roll, please, Sue. Or Sue, Sandra, sorry.
Authority Member Joe Fink,
Yes.
Kirsten Dvorak,
Yes.
Dustin Gavrilo,
Yes.
Nancy Guy,
Yes.
Wayne Munson,
Yes.
Chair Christensen.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
It's a tough one, for sure.
Well, it'll improve the character of the downtown.
Yeah, well, the old building's gonna be tough. Other business, we have any kind of report from the downtowners? From Ms. Kate? State your name for the record.
Authority members, chairman, my name's Kate Herzog. I'm with the Downtowners. I'm sorry I missed you this morning. It's girls' golf season. I'm coaching up a storm. Wanted to give you guys just a few updates on a few projects downtown. Obviously, you've just heard from Jomo House. You were talking about the depot as I had walked in. They have a kind of a public event scheduled for the beginning of September, which will be nice if you've been over there. They're landscaping like mad right now to get everything finished up. Oscars will be in the former vault space on 3rd Street in Chad Walker's building. They had indicated that they were thinking probably 2 months to hire staff and train staff, but I don't think there's a lot that needs to be done necessarily to the building since it was pretty functional. Prior to that, Agency Mabu is now fully moved in downtown. They relocated into Quality Title Building, so we're going to be doing an kind of a ribbon cutting thing with them in a few weeks. Malloy, as again you mentioned, has been now demolished, or the Malloy Law Office building, which is north of our New Mexican restaurant downtown, kind of kitty corner from the old Budget Inn location. Talked to the contractor at Sanford. They have a lot of projects going simultaneously right now, but they're all going pretty good. They've got their same-day surgery center expansion, which is on 7th and Main, which is coming along nicely. They have been redoing the oldest parts of the the main hospital, like the 50s parts of that hospital. So that's coming along nicely, and that's kind of near the emergency room and some other things that are going on there. And then they're also doing their location on South 7th Street on the old Barnes & Noble location. So those guys are it's very construction-y downtown and within Bismarck right now, if that's a word. There's a couple of real estate projects we just like to talk about on occasion. There's some buildings that just don't come up for sale very frequently. And the city center building is now for sale, which is old. I'm dating myself, although I don't remember it being JCPenney. People will call it the old JCPenney building on 5th and Broadway. And it's kind of an interesting building because it was a JCPenney building. There's everything's sort of around the outside of the building, and there's this big center open space where the escalators used to be. And so it would be kind of a cool project. I'd say it's about 50% leased right now. The Cowan building also is getting some more tenants. Not on the 4th and 5th floor are still pretty much shelled out for anything, but they do have a spa going on the main floor. I think it's called Pebble Spa. The Good Kids, which is a marketing agency, is now moved into there. Obviously, we've got the barber's wife that's in there. I think there's going to be another tattoo parlor there, some local folks that are going to be in there. So that's good. The Cowan building has needed some tenants for a while. And that's kind of a tricky building, too, being 25 feet wide. And then with fire suppression, but I believe the spa will be taking the main floor and that lower level where there's that outside staircase as well. Clearwater Real Estate moved into the Logan building, and they took the main corner on. In the building, it's the northeast corner of the building, right on that corner. And so we went over there for ribbon cutting a few weeks ago. Come and Go is under new ownership. Maverick, which is kind of a sort of service station, gas station brand, has purchased it. I don't know what their plans are. They've purchased a lot of Come and Goes, and so we're not quite sure. A lot of people are upset about $1 slushies and have talked to me about that. So we're hoping to get some slushies back. Just a couple other things, and Commissioner, Authority Member, Chair Christensen knows this, but the parking ramps are getting quite full, which is a good sign, but we really need to start thinking about where that next one is at. KLJ moved their entire operations downtown, which has been fantastic. They took a big chunk of spaces in the 3rd Street ramp, which was the one that we probably had the most capacity in. And so now we're oversold in all the ramps. And we really do need to start thinking about another ramp and another location downtown.
Just as an example, you referenced the Sanford project in the old portion of the building on 6th Street by the emergency room. They're adding 26 urgent care beds. That brings in 200 new employees, just that little piece right there.
And they will move forward. They had kind of slowed some of their construction while they were considering buying another hospital company or merging. That didn't happen, and so they've really just starting to go full bore again on their construction projects. So that's going to be a major need, and it's going to be a hindrance at some point if we don't get that going, especially for building on surface lots, which is what we'd like to do. We'd like things to, in that case, probably wouldn't pay necessarily a bunch of property tax, but it kind of is a musical chairs sort of thing. If we can do that, then this opens up over here, and that opens up here for private development. I mentioned a couple other things. Obviously, you guys are going through your renewal, and you'll go, or your extension. You'll go to all the political subs. We've got some money still in the Pace Flex Pace interest rate buy down through the Bank of North Dakota through the North Dakota Opportunity Fund, which is the loan board that I sit on. So if folks are looking for that interest rate buy down, they should talk to either the chamber or when they talk to the fill out the Vision Fund, and they don't fit the Vision Fund quite. We've been moving people over to the North Dakota Opportunity Fund. So interest rates are still, especially on the commercial side of things, still a little higher than the last 5 years, but probably historically not too bad. But it is a little bit of a hindrance to some things. A couple other things. We're going through the planning and I would call it the planning and zoning rewrite. They would call it the land development code, and that's ongoing. And then the last one is the neighborhood reinvestment initiative or investment that we had started with the city, where you could take homes that homeowners owned that were of a certain value and of a certain age and get a lower interest rate to do some home improvements there. It was our first year of doing that program, and we had talked back and forth about what that minimum home price should be to qualify, and we settled on $275,000. We've had quite a few applications that have come in just under that, so I think we might move that to $250,000 just to allow those applicants, or sorry, a little bit over that 275, so that they can access that low interest loan program, because we have $2,750,000 in loan capacity, and so we want to use as much of that up as we can. So probably next year we'll change that so that they can qualify. I think that was hot and heavy. I think those are just quite a few of the things that are going on. Things are picking up decently. I'm pleasantly surprised, mildly optimistic. There's office movement again in the downtown. Retail is still a little bit hard, but overall they're flowing. I wouldn't say it's a flood, but it's moving a little bit now. Yeah.
And you got a street fair coming up.
Street fair, September 13th and 14th.
It's the day after our next meeting, okay?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions of Kate? Anybody? Joe? Oh, Nancy?
No, I was going to say to Kate, I know some people that deal with affordable housing, so if you're looking for some ideas or program management there, hit me up.
Will do. Thanks, Joe.
Tell me again where Oscars is going.
It's in the old Lucky Duck Pond. There's a basement one that was called the Vault, and that's where they're going to be at. And I think it's an homage to Oscar Wills Seed Company. It had a building there. His microphone was off for that, which was good, but yes, Oscars. Yeah,
Well, no, that's
could be
great.
the Grouch, but I think it's Oscar Will. Yeah.
Correct. That's where the Will Seed House was, one
Yep.
of the locations of the Will Seed
Right.
House. So that's pretty cool. It's all
And-
good. Oh, I have a question.
Yeah,
When will the street construction wrap up?
yeah. It's pretty
Everybody
much.
wants to know.
It's
Yeah,
Yeah.
I suppose into October probably.
They're pretty much done. They don't know when they're going to do the
getting
fog
better.
chip seal. So, I mean, I think for the most part, everything's open. We got an update from Kyle in engineering today. Mostly they just need to put the bike racks in, the trees in, the tree pits. It's just kind of some punch list finish up stuff, I think, for the most
I
part.
think the chip sealing, I think they wait a year now. I think they'll do that next year.
I think-
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's in my neighborhood, that's
No.
why.
I mean, I think after they had to close 3rd Street for a while, I feel bad for them. And they moved as fast as humanly possible. I see them out here like at 9 at night, just trying to. I mean, it's not fun for anybody for sure. But and then what can you close? What can't you close? And then they couldn't do head-to-head traffic on 3rd Street because of the bump outs there. Then there wasn't enough room. So we owe those guys a beverage when that finishes up, I think.
Anybody have anything else for the good of the order? Any other business?
Jim, let me just read,
Oh,
if you
okay.
don't mind. It
No,
says,
go ahead.
the contractor finished milling the surface asphalt of all the streets within the project yesterday. Northern Improvement will start asphalt paving operations on Thursday. The plan is, no, well, that's not exactly the right one. Sorry, but the only work that's scheduled to be performed during this week and next is installation of bike racks at the locations highlighted on the map. No parking signs will go up only where those things are being installed. Installation is tentatively scheduled for August 16th. Contractor does not have a schedule for when the chip seal, fog seal will be completed, but expects it to be done within the month. And then they'll plant trees between September 15th and October 15th.
Do you know when they're gonna do the sidewalks on 3rd Street? Because they've got those all ripped up in front of like JL and that federal building.
Like the open gaps that are there. I know some of them were open for like some other like electrical or utility purposes or something, and then some are open for tree pits. So there'll be a lot of trees going in these areas, which is nice.
Start a petition to put a crosswalk sign or something on 3rd Street and
Hey, we got a
Sure.
new bump out now.
Yeah, but nobody can cross there at 5
True.
o'clock, and people are gonna get hit.
I'm surprised we didn't get a roundabout there.
That's a,
a problem.
yeah.
I mean, no.
I agree.
I witnessed a police officer not know when he was supposed to go through with his vehicle. Like, he was trying to
It's,
navigate.
I still try and stop there, even though there's nothing there anymore. He was like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but we'll let them know. Maybe they can put a zebra walk across it or continental crosswalk. Yep.
Who's got the street portfolio?
Do you know, Isaac? They've been shuffled again, but I don't know.
That would be who we want to talk to about that.
Janelle, do you know?
It'd be engineering that's dealing with it too.
Yeah,
Engineering would be
Engineering, that's
Commissioner
interesting.
Zanker.
Zinker, yeah, good.
Engineering.
Okay. If you ever have anything, you
Explains why
guys
he's not here.
can always reach out.
All right, thanks, Kate. Isaac, do you have anything else for us?
Yes, authority members. I was just going to add a brief little bit about the Renaissance Zone Development Plan reinstatement process to sort of expand on what Kate was saying. So as you likely remember, the Renaissance Zone Authority approved that at their public hearing on June 13th, and then it went to a public hearing at the Bismarck City Commission on July 9th. And then from there, the world tour continues tentatively with dates scheduled for the parks at August 15th, the county at August 19th, and schools on September 9th, assuming timing works out and all of that. That is the current plan. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Isaac. Yep. Anything else for the good of the order?
Chair, Chair, will you be attending those?
I reached out to Daniel and asked if I should, or if he wanted me there or not, whichever the case may be, may not. And I haven't heard back from him on that. So, Isaac, do you have any thoughts on that?
Do you know when you reached out to him? Because he
Couple
is
weeks
out of the
ago when-
country at the moment
That may be
and has
right.
been for a while.
It was when I got an email with that schedule that you just recited.
Okay.
So, when's he back?
He will be back on Monday.
Okay. So, does the authority have a feeling one way or the other? Pro,
I'd certainly
con?
encourage you to.
I would encourage you to be at the county for sure.
That would be, okay. All right. I can do that, as far as I know. It's the day after my birthday, but I should be okay by then. So,
So hopefully it's 5 o'clock. You should be recovered by then.
yep. And start all over again, depending on how the meeting goes.
You never know, it's a festival, Wayne.
It's true, it's a month long. Okay, all right. We're still on the clock
You can
here.
only do an hour at a time is what you're saying.
Exactly. All right, if there's no further business, and if there's no objection, we stand adjourned until September 12th. Thanks, everybody.